day of the week. Wednesdays, we get a visit from Baggedmilk.
Happy to be here.
Our locker room discussion today, oddest place you've woken up.
Oh, man. I've got a list.
Probably go back to Mexico and find a couple places.
I've woken up
2 weeks ago.
Ditches. I've woken up on roads. Like, one of the dumbest stories that I can possibly think of, I was probably like grade 12-ish time, going out for May Long with my buddies. And we were looking at stars one night and fell asleep on a road, like in the middle of the road. We were so lucky that nobody came through. We talk about it sometimes and we're just like, I can't believe we made it to 35 without getting hit by something because we fell asleep on a road.
Just sleeping on the road.
I forgot about one of mine. So when I worked up in Fort Blow, I worked the evening shift. And sometimes I'd hit the bar on the way home, right? Because I lived in the towers. So I'd go, they had just opened up in Earl's. So I'd go and I'd hit the lounge just before last call. And I'd get a couple in me. And one night I had maybe too many in me. And I was walking home and the Northern Lights were going. And sometimes the whole sky would go nuts. And I may have had a bit more of like I might have had a puff too or whatever. I laid down on the snowbank and I was watching it. And then I passed out in the snowbank. And of course it's minus 30.
Of course.
So I'm surprised I didn't die. Yep. I totally forgot about that one. Yeah.
There was oftentimes too when I was a teenager where I would wake up in the backyard with my dad being like, what are you doing back here?
Well, camping.
Yeah. Nothing, Dad.
Yeah.
Look the other way. So the Oilers get a win last night without McDavid. That has to be a promising sign about where this team is at as a unit.
Big win last night. I mean, we kind of had the idea that maybe they would do it for Connor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Based on how they were speaking after the pregame skate. To me, the big thing right now is watching Leon Draisaitl. This is his moment to really grab the team by the horns and steer it forward while Connor's out.
Right.
He's one of the best players in the league. He still doesn't get the respect he deserves because he plays with Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
And I think last night's performance was just such a clutch game from Leon Draisaitl. 4 points.
Yeah.
First game Connor's out and he comes out with a performance like that. That's huge.
He's got Connor by quite a few points, doesn't he? At like the total points?
He's up by 8 right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
He'll be able to pull away over the next couple of weeks.
Well, it's interesting because a handful of years ago, Jamie Benn won the scoring race with 87 points.
Yeah.
Leon Draisaitl got his 89th last night, and it's February 11th.
And there's a few guys up around in the 80 mark.
I wonder why the scoring's up this year. They haven't made too many significant changes unless they did something without telling everybody.
I'm not sure, but you know what? It's fun. It's more fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I love me some high-scoring games.
I wonder how much we can believe about where Connor's at in his rehab, right?
It's funny you say that because after the summer, they lied so bluntly about how serious his knee injury was.
They lied to Ken Holland.
They lied to Ken Holland. That's what was my favorite part of Whatever It Takes is Ken Holland's just like, I didn't know how serious it was when I took the job. So there's obviously a healthy dose of skepticism amongst the fan base right now. I don't know if they could pull off the lie twice.
Well, we'll wait to see if they have a documentary coming out.
Yeah, and I assume also Connor flew back to Toronto yesterday. I assume he's sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber for the next 2 weeks until he gets back. Hopefully they're telling the truth this time, but obviously there's reason for pause to believe that they are.
Well, because he called it a Charlie horse, right?
Yep.
And I mean, I get the whole swelling thing, and maybe you have to wait a day or two, like they said. I believe all that, and then he skated the next day, the Monday or Sunday skate or whatever, and I can see that being, this is worse than it is. But where I think they might be lying is I think this might have something to do with that knee.
I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
I hope not. Yeah. Yeah. I hope not.
Especially on the play it was. It was just a bad luck play where his skates connected with another player and he fell into the boards. It's like such a crap way to get hurt too.
That documentary was really well done. Yeah. Who would put that together? Do we know? Was Scorgie a part of that?
He had a small part in that.
Okay.
We know Shane Fennessy, who is one of the producers on there. He's been on the Real Life podcast a couple of times. He's a great guy, kind of told some stories. He was NDA'd to the max on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had all kinds of...
You're making a documentary about how bad McDavid's injury is when they've been kind of covering it up? Yeah.
And after watching it too, these next 2 weeks, Connor's not just chilling out and hanging out and having a little rest too. The guy has a work ethic like I've never seen before.
What do you think about Darnell Nurse's contract extension? 2 years?
It's an interesting contract extension because it takes him right to unrestricted free agency, which to me tells me that the organization, and I'm just guessing here, obviously, that the organization doesn't really know what he is yet. Otherwise, they would have went long term with him.
I was surprised by that, too.
Right. They give him kind of a bridge contract or whatever.
Because he's got the chance, if he wants, and I think he wants to be here, to walk away in 2 years just scot-free and go wherever he wants. So it's an interesting choice by Ken Holland to only go 2 years with him on what is, by all accounts, a core piece.
Is he playing the cap game, though?
He could be playing the cap game. Obviously, the Oilers are tight.
Because $5.6 million on average is still a nice chunk of change.
Of course.
Right, so they're throwing enough money at him to say, you're a value here, but
sure, yeah. I mean, he goes from 3.2 a year to 5.6 a year, and that's a raise anybody would take. It's just the term that's interesting on this one.
Yeah, we should mention Jay Bomeister. He's an Edmonton boy. Had a heart. They called it a cardiac episode. Do we know anything more?
I was looking around this morning actually, and I didn't see updates.
Anything
yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, a scary situation, and very lucky that the NHL has doctors right there to be able to handle this kind of stuff. If you remember in the KHL, a handful of years ago, somebody wasn't so lucky as to have doctors nearby. So very, very lucky for Jay Bomeister. That proper medical care was right there.
Yeah, the Blues just tweeted saying they're going to update it this afternoon. So they're going to do a press conference. And
I'm always surprised at this kind of thing. Like a pro athlete, 36, in unbelievable shape, right? When you see something like that. I mean, I played hockey for years, and there was guys I skated with every night that I was watching to see if they would have a heart attack.
It is surprising because, like you said, these guys are in great shape. Not the person you'd expect to have a cardiac episode.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It was usually Larry, the guy that I was looking at.
The guy
that's crushing rats between periods.
Smoking in his truck. And then comes in with a sixer.
Yeah, instead of water between periods, he's cracking a Pilsner.
Oh, yeah. That's the only way to play.
We all play with those guys, though. All right, there he is. Baggedmilk, thanks for the visit.
Thank you.
From Oilers.